Shocking biblical prophecy revealed what the ancient texts say about Israel's future. Few knew what truly happened that night in the stillness of Jerusalem. Whispers carried like shadows through the winding streets. It was a time of upheaval, where prophecy seemed to hang in the air, thick and tangible. Darkness clung to the ancient stones, wrapping them in mystery and foreboding a deep sense of something monumental about to unfold. Nestled between the olive groves and sun-baked earth, the city pulsed with a heartbeat of fear and hope. The air crackled with tension, as though the heavens themselves were on the brink of a revelation. Zechariah, a humble priest, stood trembling before the altar. His heart raced, echoing like drums in his chest. What had he seen? What had been spoken to him in those moments of prayer? Could it be that God was stirring, preparing the ground for Israel's future? The evening sky draped itself in hues of deep indigo, while a crescent moon emerged like a solitary watcher. Zechariah felt the weight of generations pressing upon him. Here, under the flickering oil lamps, many had prayed for the fulfillment of promises: a coming Messiah, salvation, liberation from oppression. Hope was a fragile flame, flickering against the winds of despair, but mixed into this hope was the ache of uncertainty. Just days before, 3 strange visitors arrived. Their words, bold and prophetic, spoke of upheaval and triumph. These men, robed and enigmatic, had claimed to carry heavenly tidings. Yet, what of the signs they foretold? They were the signs of wrath and joy intertwined, miracles and calamities dancing together like fireflies in the dark. Each word painted vivid images of conflict and peace, yet doubts clouded the minds of many. Some dismissed them as mere fabrications, while others clung tightly to their words, desperate for guidance. And then the strange prophecy surfaced. It spoke of a valley, the valley of dry bones. In that cursed and forsaken place, bones would rattle and gather, forming bodies anew. Existence from nothingness. Could this be true? Zechariah's heart stuttered as visions of dust and life collided in his mind. A miracle or madness? What could it mean for Israel? As he stood there, grappling with these revelations, a cacophony of voices rose outside the temple. The people were restless. Murmurs swept through the crowd like wildfires. What if they have returned? What can it all mean? The earth trembled with their fears. And amidst the chaos, Zechariah's mind raced. Could he bear to share what he had seen? What if they scoffed? What if he was wrong? With each passing moment, darkness pressed closer. The air thickened. A chill skittered down his spine. Fear brushed against his skin, a whisper urging him to flee. Yet something deeper called him to stand firm. Would he be the vessel of change, or a mere witness to history's repetition? His breath caught in his throat. The future of his people hung in the balance. As night continued to cloak the city, it was clear something monumental was on the horizon. But what would it mean for Israel? What path lay before them, fraught with shadows and light? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the shadows deepened in Jerusalem, the flickering lights of the temple illuminated the faces of the faithful, their features imbued with resolve and uncertainty. Among them was Elizabeth, Zechariah's wife, her heart aflame with both terror and faith. She had heard whispers of angels and carried a burden beyond her years, not only the weight of motherhood but the hope of a nation yearning for salvation. With each rumor that drifted through the temple walls, her thoughts turned to the prophecy of the coming child, the one who would prepare the way for the Lord. Outside, the murmurs mingled with the rustling of olive leaves, as people gathered, each face bearing the scars of history's trials. They spoke of the recent visitors, their strange promises, and the chilling prophecy that seemed to echo in the depths of their souls. "Will we see the valley of dry bones awaken?" one asked, and another responded. "What if it is our own that lie in ruin?" A shudder passed through the crowd as the words of the prophecy flared anew in their minds. Can these bones live? It was not merely a question but a challenge. Elizabeth's heart raced as she pondered the implications. What would it mean if the bones indeed gathered together, if life returned to the lifeless? Her thoughts turned to her own kin, those who had dwindled in spirit and hope, scattered like seeds upon the wind. In that moment, Elizabeth felt an urgency swell within her. She had to speak, to spread the fire of hope against discouragement. Moving through the throng, she called out to those nearby, imploring them to hold on to the promise of restoration. Do not let your hearts be troubled. The Lord has spoken, she cried, her voice carrying through the tension-laden air. The people turned, listening with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Amongst the gathering, an old man, eyes clouded with years, shook his head. Promises are but shadows, nothing more, he grumbled, the weight of his cynicism palpable. We have seen too many dreams snuffed out in our time. What hope can there be in bones that once were? Elizabeth met his gaze with steadiness, feeling the flicker of divine assurance within her. But shadows can lead us to light, she replied. Miracles arise from the depths of despair, and we must not close our eyes to what God is doing among us. As she spoke, a hush fell over the crowd. One could sense the potential of the moment, as if broken hearts and weary souls were on the cusp of awakening. Zechariah stepped from the shadows of the temple, drawn by the surge of fervor in Elizabeth's voice. He felt the weight of his own uncertainty dissipating, replaced by her unwavering courage. What if we are the vessels for this prophecy? His thoughts spiraled as he joined Elizabeth, a silent declaration of unity between husband and wife, priest and prophetess. Together they stood at the nexus of doubt and faith, a beacon amidst the encroaching darkness, ready to challenge the fates intertwined around them. But still, the questions loomed large, gnawing at the hearts of those they stood among. Would they be ready to embrace such transformation? Would they awaken when the prophecies began to take form, or remain asleep as the world around them shifted? As night deepened, a shroud of stars blanketed the heavens, and Jerusalem waited, collectively inhaling the inescapable uncertainty of the future. In that sacred pause, the atmosphere pulsed with possibilities, neither promise nor despair fully grasped. What if the Valley of Dry Bones was more than just a place in need of revival, but a reflection of their very own spirits? And what wisdom would unfold as the dawn broke upon their collective fears and hopes? As dawn began to lighten the eastern horizon, the people of Jerusalem stood poised between weariness and anticipation. The temple's silhouette loomed, regal and strong against the blushing sky, while Elizabeth and Zechariah gathered strength from the collective pulse of the crowd. It was a strange time, for the air was thick with expectation, unveiling layers of longing for rebirth. Elizabeth clasped her hands and closed her eyes, whispering a prayer for guidance. In that sacred moment, she felt a gentle stirring in her spirit, as if the whispers of generations past resounded within her. Open their eyes, Lord, she murmured, to see the hope you have promised. The crowd began to stir with restlessness, uncertain as light touched their tired faces. Look! Cried a voice from the back, an eager young man, eyes wide like saucers. The sun rises upon us, but what of our hearts? Are we ready to hear what is to come? At his declaration, the crowd murmured in agreement, wrestling with the dualities of possibility and skepticism. Zechariah's heart leapt as he recognized the essence of the young man's question. What indeed, he echoed, stepping forward, emboldened by Elizabeth's presence. We stand at the threshold of a prophecy. What if our hearts are the very bones that await revival? The words spoken by the prophets hold weight, and yet have we truly listened? A soft breeze swept through the gathering, rustling the garments of the faithful and carrying with it the scent of new beginnings, a rich blend of earth and promise. Elizabeth nodded, her spirit igniting with his words. We must prepare ourselves, she called, passion igniting her voice. For when the Lord moves, it is not merely the earth that will tremble, but our hearts as well. Can we, too, be willing instruments of change? A murmuring arose again, voices weaving in and out like threads of a tapestry, reflecting the collective hesitance. But how can we trust the unseen? One woman implored. Haven't we placed our faith in prophecies that only brought heartbreak? Yet isn't it in our darkest hours that the light finds its way? Zechariah interjected, the fire of conviction glowing in his chest. Remember the stories of our ancestors, the battles fought and lost, the anguish and despair, yet there was always a remnant, a flicker of hope that would not be extinguished. We are that remnant. Hopeful gazes began to fixate on the two, their words infectious enough to momentarily overshadow regrets and fears. In the distance, a low rumble echoed, a reminder of uncertainty from the approaching tempest of life outside Jerusalem's walls. It was a veiled reminder of the trials they had endured, still looming ever closer. As the light fully broke, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Elizabeth felt the weight of their shared history. Perhaps, she spoke softly, the true awakening is not just what lies ahead, but also what remains within us. It is the grief that binds our hearts to the promise, the past that turns our gaze to the future. The crowd listened intently, as people began to contemplate the depths of her words. Will we not allow our past struggles to teach us, to mold us into vessels of hope? Elizabeth urged, casting her gaze across the faces of those she loved. Can we, together, become a force of revival not just for ourselves, but for generations yet unborn? The draw of unity sparked hope, but a heaviness remained, as the questions started to resurface. Could they truly harness the power of their past wounds? As the sun climbed, illuminating the shadows that clung to the temple stones, one haunting question echoed louder than the rest. What if the revival they sought was already nested deep within their souls, waiting to be awakened by the push of faith and love? Jerusalem held its breath, as hearts slowly began to stir and wonder, were they ready for the next step in their journey towards spiritual renewal? Would they find the strength to cast aside doubt and rise together? As the sun continued its ascent, shedding warmth upon the gathering, Zechariah felt a tethering of spirits, a collective heartbeat thrumming in unison, a silent vow of renewal etched within each soul. The people began to murmur fervently, their spirits lifting with each shared fear and hope expressed, until the air was thick with an almost electric anticipation. Yet, in that vibrant moment, Elizabeth's heart was pulled by another current of thought. While the prospect of revival shimmered ahead, she pondered the weightiness of their shared past, a past stained with struggles, yearning, and sorrow. The stories of sorrow echoed louder than the promises of joy in her heart, each one carving out a space for new life. Dear friends, she implored, her voice settling over the crowd like a gentle breeze, can we not always acknowledge our woundedness? It is from our scars that we learn, and it is from our shared stories that our trust strengthens. Will we dare to embrace our narratives even if they cut deep? A shiver ran through the multitude. Her words dipped into the sacred marrow of their shared experience, igniting a flicker of introspection. They stood at a crossroad, the choice to embrace their past or to discard it lay before them, an ancient echo haunting the morning light. Suddenly, a figure began to make its way through the crowd, the whispers falling like leaves into a hushed reverence. An elder, his white beard sweeping against his chest, raised a gnarled staff, emblematic of wisdom but also of the weight of generations. Do not be blinded by the gleam of promise without acknowledging the shadows that dance beside it, he declared, his voice deep and profound yet threaded with compassion. His presence commanded attention, and the crowd leaned in, captivated. I have walked these streets, witnessed the rise and fall of our hopes, felt the sting of betrayal and loss. Yet, within those narratives lies a calling. The prophets spoke not merely of what was to come, but of what we should embody. Trust in the unseen, steadfast hearts in the face of despair. Zechariah stepped closer, feeling the depth of this moment. What if we are called not only to believe in a prophecy but to embody it? If we muster the courage to entwine our faith with our fears, we may discover that the divine presence is not a distant promise. It runs through us, whispering through our trials. Elizabeth's spirit soared with every word that flowed from Zechariah and the elder. Let us be vessels of that truth. Let us honor our doubts, intertwine them with our hopes, and create an unyielding tapestry of faith. Even in uncertainty, we can still reach for one another and let that be an act of worship. Excitement rippled through the crowd, but it was underscored by a persistent doubt. The fear of stepping forward into the unknown was palpable. What if our efforts lead to disappointment? A woman voiced, her brow furrowed with concern. What if we strive, only to find ourselves abandoned? A somber silence settled, the weight of the question hanging precariously in the air like the evening mist, imbuing the dawn with an unsettling chill. Elizabeth felt that familiar stirring within, gripping her heart. Ah, but what if that very risk is the gateway to our redemption? Could it be that the unseen paths, wrought with potential and peril alike, are the very crucibles designed to transform us? As the light continued to break over Jerusalem, a deeper truth flickered in the hearts of the assembly. They stood upon the precipice of something monumental, their fears no longer insurmountable barriers, but challenges urging them into communion with one another. Yet, amid the flicker of hope, a pivotal question lingered like an unanswered prayer. Could the trembling faith they desperately clutched be enough to handle the weight of the unknown? Could they truly cast aside their doubts, and rise as one, empowered by their collective spirit? The twilight of uncertainty deepened as the vibrant call of revival remained unwritten within their hearts, waiting for the ink of human resolve to bring it to life. As the sun rose higher in the sky, golden rays spilled into the hearts and minds of the gathered multitude. The air was thick with tension and fervor, the fragile thread of hope weaving through the fabric of uncertainty that enveloped them. A soft breeze stirred, carrying whispers of nostalgia and dreams yet unfulfilled, much like a gentle reminder of the past. The elder, sensing the unsteady ground beneath them, raised his staff higher, a signal for calm. "Listen well," he urged, his voice resonating with the weight of ancestry. "In the very essence of our fears lies a profound truth, the truth once pronounced by the prophets, coded within tales passed down through the ages. We stand at the forefront of a revelation, one that demands our eyes be opened, our minds be attuned, and our hearts prepared to receive." Curiosity rippled through the crowd, a collective gasp swelled as they returned to the elder's words. "Consider the stories of our forebears, of Sarah who laughed at the promise, of Moses who questioned his calling, of David who faced the giant armed only with faith. Every tale bore witness to the divine mystery that neither fear nor doubt could extinguish. They were, and are, reminders that nothing happens in isolation. Every event unfurls as part of a grand tapestry, and we are the weavers. Elizabeth's heart raced as she recalled the stories she'd collected like grains of sand over years. "Is it possible," she interjected, "that our narratives are not just personal struggles but collective processes? Bound together by a mosaic of faith and fear, do we not carry the echoes of each other's stories? In the embrace of our vulnerabilities, can we not ignite the spark of a new beginning?" "Indeed," murmured the elder, his expression solemn yet hopeful. "Yet let us not be misled by the allure of unity without sacrifice. To weave together means to expose our threads, to acknowledge our breaks and knots. Sometimes, it is only when we relinquish our tightly held notions of control that we can truly embark on a journey to discovery." A murmur spread through the crowd as they absorbed the weight of his wisdom. The shadows of doubt that had skulked among them began to lift, replaced by a nascent realization of the sacredness in their shared struggle. "What lies ahead may be veiled in mystery," the elder continued, "but within that mystery, the divine speaks. It whispers of a future intertwined with promise and possibility, if only we dare to forge ahead." However, in the heart of the assembly, doubt loomed like a specter. "What if we take those steps and find only deeper valleys?" a man asked, his voice tinged with trepidation. "What if the prophecy of renewal is merely a mirage, a flickering flame that leads us astray?" The atmosphere thickened with tension, but Elizabeth's spirit kindled. "Ah, but dear ones, have we not endured the valleys before? Did we not rise again, time and time over? Our journey is not solely about the predicted end, it is also about the integrity we cultivate during our pilgrimage. What is a promise worth unless we allow it to forge us anew?" The gathering shifted, and a sense of sacred connection began to blossom within the hearts of the people. They stood together in their uncertainty, and unyielding legion forged not just in faith, but in the raw acknowledgement of their imperfections and trials. Still, amidst the anticipation hovering in the air, a far deeper inquiry lingered. How might they seek transformation while remaining anchored in their existing selves? Could the acceptance of their fears become the true propellant towards the revival they sought? The path ahead shimmered with both brilliant promise and profound ambiguity, a reflection of the greater journey unfolding before them, a journey just beginning to reveal its mysteries. As the people lingered in this sacred moment, The wind shifted, carrying an unfamiliar fragrance and aroma that seemed both ancient and present. It was a scent that ignited forgotten yearnings and promises that stretched beyond time itself. The elder paused, allowing the congregation to take in the moment as though it was an invitation inscribed in the air itself. "Friends," he began again, voice steady like a brook cutting through stone, "what you sense is the breath of something significant awakening. It is not just our tale being woven, it is the very narrative of creation itself stirring within us. We should take heed of the mysteries whispered to us through our storied past, for therein lie keys to understanding our present and future." Elizabeth, her heart swelling with the urgency of this moment, felt compelled to urge her companions forward. "What if we pause to listen more deeply?" she proposed, her voice quivering with passion. "Each story we carry holds a ripple effect, resonates through eternity. Those we have lost, those we have loved, their stories intertwine with ours. We are but branches of a thriving tree, with roots dug deep into the soil of our shared history." The elder nodded, a faint smile touching his weathered face. "Indeed, and as we stand on this cusp of transformation, let us reflect on the lessons they bear. Remember the lament of Naomi, who lost all she cherished, yet found a new beginning in Ruth's unwavering loyalty, calling towards destiny even in the dark of despair. In every shadow, a flicker of light beckons us to see beyond our immediate circumstances. A thoughtful silence fell over the assembly, filled with collective introspection. With every anecdote shared amongst them, a tapestry of resilience began to unfurl. Hope flickered undeterred by the profound shadows of uncertainty. Suddenly, a child ran forth from the assembly, captivated by newfound courage. "Elder," she exclaimed, "if we are to believe in the beauty of beginnings, what of the prophecies that stained our history with fear? Are not those painted truths also part of our journey?" The elder turned to the child, his gaze softening. "Ah, little one, what wisdom you've brought forth! Those prophecies hold as much significance as the light they cast. They distract us with dread yet pull us toward a destiny waiting to be shaped by our choices, our actions. They remind us that fear can be both a chain and a catalyst. But how can we distinguish the necessary fear from that which paralyzes us?" Another voice interjected, a woman whose brow creased with the weight of this inquiry. The crowd leaned closer, captivated by the weight of the words exchanged. The elder raised his staff, allowing a hush to wash over them again before he replied. "We discern by gathering the threads of our stories. Within them lie lessons that move us beyond fear. Each turning point yields wisdom, and in shared storytelling, we find solidarity. When we weave our truths together, a tapestry laden with both joy and anguish, each knot strengthens us against despair." Elizabeth reflected on this, wondering how much the chorus of shared voices could dissolve their individual burdens. She felt a flicker of understanding that perhaps it was in this vulnerable openness that their true strength resided. Yet, while determination surged through the gathering, a flicker of doubt still danced in the shadows of their hearts. "If we bear the weight of prophecy with faith," Elizabeth mused quietly, "how are we to hold sacred the duality of our existence, a hope mingled with despair, promise entwined with pain? Can we ever truly accept the coalescence of these truths?" As the elder's gaze swept across the audience, an unspoken acknowledgement passed between them of struggle and yearning, of light and shadow. Here, in this moment, they stood together, teetering on the brink of transformation, with a singular, haunting question lingering in the air. Can we embrace the complexity of our journey, or will the shadows of uncertainty hold us at bay as we strive toward the promise of renewal? As the crowd held its breath, the wind shifted once more, echoing the elder's words as if the very heavens were contemplating their plight. The tensions and hopes within the gathering vibrated together, like strings of an instrument awaiting the bow. Elizabeth felt this swell of emotion resonate in her chest, compelling her to continue digging deeper into the question that hung in the air. "Elder," she called once more, her voice steadying amidst the uncertainty, "if prophecies stir both fear and hope, could there be a reason we have been drawn here at this moment? Might these stories of old not merely guide us but also reveal paths to tread where light meets shadow?" The elder's gaze softened further, his eyes crinkling with wisdom. "Ah, dear seeker, when one stirs the echoes of the past, they unearth not only buried tales but also the very essence of potential. Many seem reluctant to engage with what frightens them, Yet it is often in these fears that the most profound truths are concealed. As you suggest, we must look beyond, recognizing that what is veiled serves to illuminate the path ahead. With this revelation, a murmur spread through the assembly, igniting the fire of hope yet again. Voices rose as they shared their own experiences, threads woven into the rich tapestry of their community. They recounted tales of trials that transformed into triumphs, the broken paths that had revealed unexpected grace. Each story poured out, revealing the resilience ingrained within them, and with every contribution, fear seemed to fade slightly into the background. Yet amidst this gathering warmth, Elizabeth found herself contemplating the depth of the elders' wisdom. What then do we make of the darker prophecies, the ones that predict strife and suffering? She queried, uncertainty knotting in her stomach. Should we heed them with caution or abandon them altogether? How do we hold space for both? Truth, the elder replied, does not shy away from the hardest of lessons. Every sobering prophecy bears insight into our own hearts and motivations. They challenge us to confront the very core of our humanity, our choices, desires, and the heavy weight of history. We must approach such prophecies not with despair but as invitations to change. They urge us towards introspection, to ask ourselves how we might create a new way forward rather than resign to fate. As he spoke, a shadow fell over the gathering, casting a veil upon their burgeoning anticipation. Whispers of doubt returned, nudging at the edges of faith. Instinctively, Elizabeth glanced toward the horizon, where dark clouds began to gather, shifting ominously overhead. What if our attempts to weave a better reality continued to be met with resistance? She voiced hesitantly. What if we cannot rise above what is written? Sometimes, the elder responded, his voice unwavering, resistance sharpens our resolve. It places before us mirrors of both ourselves and our communities, igniting necessary reflection. The storms we face can either push us together or splinter us apart. It is not the storm that determines our fate, but how we choose to respond to it, whether in fear or grace. In that moment, a tremor of recognition surged through Elizabeth. The word flowed through her mind like water, mingling with the recognition of her own doubt lingering beneath the hope. Could they truly foster a community that shone in the darkest hour? The prayer offered by the elder enveloped a collective chant that ascended toward the heavens. Within its rhythm, the congregation found strength. Yet, as Elizabeth keenly listened to the powerful echo, another question took hold of her heart, intertwining with the very essence of their gathering. How do we navigate the shadows that surround us without allowing the whispers of doubt to cloak us in darkness? The air was thick with anticipation, as clouds swirled above, echoing the unrest within the hearts of the people. Elizabeth stood, her spirit both burdened and aflame with questions that felt heavier than the falling shadows. As the elder's final words faded into the ether, she felt an urging, a whisper from the depths of her heart, resonating with the pulsating energy of hope and uncertainty. Just then, from the crowd, a voice crackled like a spark. It was Samuel, a young man known for his earnest yet often impulsive views. Elder, he called out, what if we are merely players in a grand story that has already been written? Is it only our reactions that echo through time, or do our choices truly alter the course laid before us? Can we rewrite our destinies? The elder regarded Samuel with a thoughtful nod, his brow furrowing as if weighing the air for answers. Ah, brave soul! The threads of destiny are indeed woven with intention and action. Yet it is within human will where mystery resides. You see, the prophecies can serve as both maps and warnings, offering guidance while inviting the courage to traverse paths less taken. Elizabeth felt the weight of those words wrap around her like a cloak. It echoed in her mind, maps and warnings. It sparked curiosity about the ancient stories that had been passed down through generations. She spoke next, her voice lightly trembling yet determined. What if the previous paths our ancestors tread were clouded with fear that blinded them to the light? How do we forge a new way, one beyond shadow and uncertainty? Another murmur of agreement floated through the assembly, a shared sense of yearning for understanding. The elder, sensing their unity and hunger for answers, lifted his hands as if to gather their focus once more. Consider the ancient texts, he began, those scrolls that tell tales of Israel where prophecy met prophecy, struggle roamed familiar paths, and grace broke through the confines of despair. They tell not only of past sorrows but also of a future not yet written. A stirring swept through Elizabeth. The conversation around her felt alive, like a flowing river that coursed through centuries. "What stories, Elder? What can they reveal to us now?" she asked, longing to delve deeper. "Indeed, each of you holds the power of transformation," the Elder continued. "Israel's journey is intricately tied to promises made, to choices that reflect both humility and arrogance, triumph and devastation. The sacred texts are filled with the echoes of those who wronged, those who turned back, rightfully seeking redemption. In their struggles, we find our own, not the answers merely, but the questions that lead us to true understanding. As he spoke, the wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain mixed with the warmth of the land. Elizabeth's thoughts danced with parallels drawn from the scriptures. What if, she proposed, the true essence of prophecy lies not in fear or fatalism but in an invitation to awaken our shared humanity? How can we ensure that history does not repeat itself? Ah, my dear Elizabeth, the Elder pondered aloud, that is the heart of wisdom. Awareness of our collective past breeds caution but also offers the opportunity to craft a narrative informed by love rather than fear. The question remains, however, are we willing to stand united, confronting the shadows alongside our light? The weight of those words settled heavily in the air, and the congregation now felt the electric charge of a deeper understanding. Dark clouds swirled above, yet the flickers of hope kindled in their midst seemed impervious to the encroaching storm. With sincerity, Elizabeth turned her gaze to her community. "Then let us be the storytellers of a different chapter," she declared, "one where our choices illuminate the paths toward a future built on faith, where our hearts can meet even the darkest shadows with the understanding they need not confine us." As her voice faded, a gentle yet haunting thought lingered in the air, echoing through time and space like a newly formed promise. How do we embrace the challenge of forging our fate when the very echoes of history cry out caution? The murmur of the crowd lingered like the flicker of a flame, illuminating facades of hope and uncertainty woven tightly together. The Elder stood poised, however, with the weight of the moment pressing down upon his shoulders, as though the very skies hung in suspense. "Listen closely," he instructed, a twinkle of prophecy igniting in his eyes. "For the stories have long awaited your open hearts. They are not barren fields, but fertile soil, embracing potential. The trek of our ancestors speaks volumes. It is a conversation between past and future." Elizabeth felt an exhilarating shift. A whisper in her spirit urged her to delve deeper. "Elder, what if the scrolls serve as mirrors reflecting our scars and glories alike?" The Elder turned to her thoughtfully. "Exactly, young seeker. It brings forth the essence of who we are, revealers of time's lessons." He continued, gesturing grandly. "In every trial faced, Israel was tested, like Abraham on the mountains of Moriah, called forth to sacrifice his beloved. In that moment, was it not a reflection of faith against the direst of challenges?" The crowd stirred, as curiosity swelled within them. "Abraham's story wasn't just his own endeavor," Elizabeth murmured. "It was a crossroads of faith and doubt, fear and trust." "And what of Jacob, who wrestled with the angel?" the Elder interjected, leaning closer. "His struggle birthed a nation. Each hold upon that divine being was not merely a contention for a blessing but a testament of resiliency, a balm for generations yet to come." A hush fell over the crowd, absorbing their Elder's words. Elizabeth's heart beat swiftly, her mind weaving connections between their struggles and her own life. Yet even then, is it not easy to forget the lessons? When we are faced with our own trials, do we remember the guarantees of a promise? With a heavy sigh, the Elder replied, "Indeed, though many still cling to the warning of past calamities, filled with tales of idolatry, oppression, and exile, they forget the most crucial part, that redemption lies open, welcoming those willing to tread a new path. Even upon the darkest nights, it is light that offers true guidance. What remedies exist within those scrolls that could illuminate the way?" Samuel's voice pierced through the somber atmosphere, urgency bubbling beneath his inquiry. "Ah, Samuel," the Elder replied, "the answers often echo with the simplicity of love, humility, and unity. Even when the path darkens, as it does in the prophecies, the essence of the calling is to unite amid differences. The more we learn from our ancestors, the more alive the scrolls become. The clouds overhead rolled ominously, a clash of thunder serving as a reminder of nature's power. Elizabeth glanced skyward, and the first drops of rain began to fall softly at first, like a gentle whisper unleashed from the heavens. "What if this storm carries an opportunity," she suggested, her spirit rising, "to wash away the remnants of division, renewing our commitment to harmony?" The elder smiled appreciatively. "Yes, dear Elizabeth. Instead of fearing the tempest, we must adapt to it. The very essence of growth often demands the storm." The texts implore us to engage in both the shadows and light. As murmurings within the crowd grew softer, a heavy silence hung like the electric charge before a great revelation. Each heart was a vessel in that moment, filled with the potential for change. "If only," she whispered, "we could settle into the understanding that past mistakes paint the canvas of our choices and our futures guiding us, not haunting us." But the elder, sensing the weight of their contemplations, raised a finger for emphasis. "Yet the question persists. Can we remain vigilant in remembering the lessons while daring to tread new paths? Will the scars of yesterday teach us the essence of tomorrow?" As the rain began to fall more earnestly, Elizabeth considered, her heart racing with the possibilities of transformation that lay before them. How can a people, burdened with historical shadows, rise to meet the future when the echoes of history implore them to tread lightly? As the rain began to drizzle softly upon the gathered souls, the spirit of anticipation thickened in the air. The communion between the elder and the assembly, a tapestry weaving together the fabric of shared struggles and aspirations, gained momentum, resonating deeply within every heart present. The laughter of children danced among the rain, imbuing the scene with an innocence and hope that could not be dulled by the heaviness of their pasts. Elizabeth felt the rain's drops kiss her face, as if the heavens themselves were bearing witness to this sacred moment. Could this be the beginning of a new chapter? She pondered silently. Each droplet felt like a gentle reminder of the living water that could cleanse the bitterness from their souls, the shadows that sought to snuff out the light of hope. Raising her voice above the soft rustle of the rain, she called to her people, "Look around you. The heavens are weeping not in sorrow but in joy for what we are about to embrace." Perhaps, this rain serves as a significant reminder that even in the darkness, collective strength can blossom into brilliant unity. A warm wave of energy coursed through the crowd, hearts responding to her passion. In that moment, the elder stepped forward again, his wisdom illuminating their path further. "Indeed, dear Elizabeth, the storm above is a mirror to our own internal struggles. The rain does not negate the sun that shines, rather, it nourishes the ground beneath us." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "When we acknowledge both drought and deluge, we thrive. Our histories commend that we cannot remain stagnant, we must move, we must grow." The assembly's hearts swelled as they considered the implications of his words. A shared acknowledgement began to ripple through the crowd. Their histories, laden with fears and doubts, were not to be swept away but embraced, forging an unbreakable bond. "But how may we begin?" A voice called out from deep within, filled with yearning and uncertainty. The question cast a hush over the gathering, opening the floor to introspection. Elizabeth stepped forward, emboldened by the collective energy surrounding her. "Our first step is to embrace the beauty of our scars and gather our stories. Each tale has the capacity to hold light for another. It is by fostering vulnerability that we can foster connection." A mix of apprehension and curiosity flickered through the crowd. "Can we not fear these very stories?" someone asked, echoing the sentiment that resonated with many. Elizabeth felt the weight of their worry. "Yes, we may fear," she acknowledged gently, "but listen well. Joy and sorrow coexist beautifully, like the sun peeking through stormy clouds. Our histories tell us that we are woven together, interconnected like the branches of a tree, each contributing to the life that flourishes beneath." Amidst the rain, Zechariah felt an overwhelming swell of love and gratitude for his wife and their community. "Let us be vessels of revolution," he declared. "Let us share our burdens and revelations alike. The world requires our stories, and we can surpass the limitations of fear, standing armed with the truth that we are not alone." As he spoke, the rain transformed what began as gentle droplets now poured forth with fervor, cleansing the ancient stones of Jerusalem, and as lightning streaked across the heavens, illuminating the sky, A powerful realization washed over the gathering. Just as the storm stirred life anew across the earth, so too could they awaken the dormant dreams within their spirits, a call to rise collectively from the ashes of doubt. The crowd erupted into fervent conversation, each person compelled to share their pain, to reclaim their strength. Voices melded in a chorus filled with fragmented stories the young and old began to share, tales of loss, of redemption, of dreams and fears, surging forth like rivulets of water cascading down a mountainside. The energy within the assembly pulsated as if awakened from a deep slumber, gendering connections born from shared trials. Remember the promise of coming together, Elizabeth shouted, her message ringing clear as an anthem of hope. We are no longer bound to the chains forged by adversity, but free to embrace the light that resides within us, ready to ignite the hearts around us. With each story that unfolded, growing louder and bolder against the patter of the rain, an undeniable force began to rise. And then, like the culmination of destiny, a profound shift reverberated from heart to heart, echoing like ripples across the vast expanse of the ocean. Finally, a young woman stepped forth, her voice echoing through the downpour, filled with the fire of 1,000 dreams unspoken. Let us rise. Let this rain wash away our worries, let it wash away our doubts. The stories we share shall be the soil from which we cultivate our future. The moment hung, suspended in time, before erupting into a unified cry and affirmation swelled from the crowd. Yes. We shall rise together, no longer afraid. The impassioned echoes surged through the hearts of every witness, an unstoppable tide redefining fear into faith and skepticism into courage. At that moment, a powerful light burst through the breaking clouds, an emblem of hope breaking free from despair, illuminating the faces of those who dared to envision a different future. Zechariah and Elizabeth exchanged glances, a shared revelation coursing through them, a promise resounding in their spirits. As the storm settled into a gentle rain, transforming into a refreshing mist, the essence of fulfillment rolled across Jerusalem in waves, and the miracle of awakening unfurled before them. The valley of dry bones would no longer signify depletion, but the birthing ground of life anew. With every proclamation of hope, every trembling heart tapped into a powerful realization: love, faith, and unity could bridge even the deepest chasms of doubt. No longer would they be defined by fears or the rigid shadows of their historical past, but instead, they ventured into a future that sparkled with potential, sparkling like the dew upon the grass. And thus, as the sun emerged, casting radiant hues of gold across the valley and its people, they stood together, transformed. They were no longer trapped in cycles of despair, but held firmly in the embrace of promise. They understood that the revelation in the valley was ultimately a reflection of their own journey, a journey of awakening to truth, grace, and the indomitable power of love. Their voices rang out together, echoing through the streets of Jerusalem, resonating with the heartbeat of a people awakened. We shall rise together. The call transcended time, resonating with every soul that listened, inviting them to participate in the marvelous unfolding of life, the grand narrative waiting to be written anew with every choice, every act of love. In that newfound promise, they uncovered the greatest revelation of all. Every heart holds the ability to catalyze transformation, and therein lies a profound purpose. Together, they would forge a future defined not by the weight of shadows, but by the brilliance of their shared light. And so the flame ignited within them, beckoning each to bear witness to the unfolding story yet to be written, etched upon the canvas of eternity, reminding them all, in the dance of shadows and light, each contributes to the divine tapestry spun of hopes unbound by fear. In this sacred union of spirits, they found the strength to rise anew, forever transformed.